Hello guys, my name is Geet Dhillon and I welcome you all to today's video. So for today, we're going to discuss how do you go ahead and add pop-ups to your website. Alright, so we'll be discussing about different types of pop-ups that you can add to your WordPress website. So let's just take a quick look at the topics that we're going to discuss. We're going to be talking about firstly, how do we add a pop-up using the pop-up click. Okay, so basically if you click on something and a pop-up comes up, like if you click on a button the pop-up shows. You must have seen such websites, right? And second is you must have seen a website where you visit a website, and once you visit it, automatically after some time a pop-up appears. All right, so that is called a time delay pop-up. So we'll be discussing both of these types of pop-ups that we can actually go ahead and integrate in the WordPress websites. So guys, I'm here inside my WordPress. Now, firstly, regarding the pop-ups, why are the pop-ups used, right? Because pop-ups are used because you might have to, uh, you might want that the user who's coming to your website is shown some information, right? Or probably you want that user to click somewhere and redirect that person to somewhere else, right? Or probably for a form. Okay, so let's just take a look at the two types of pop-ups that we discussed. Now first I need to go to the backend. Now inside the backend I'll go to the plugins, and inside the plugins I'll click on add new. And what I need to do is I need to search for a plugin. There are multiple plugins, but for today's video, I'll just be talking about this plugin. Okay, so it's called Popup Maker. So once you click on this, search this Popup Maker, you can install. This is the plugin that's being used. You can install and activate this plugin. Now I've already done that. Now what you need to do is once you've installed and activated, you will have in this WordPress menu part, you will have this panel. You will have this Popup Maker shown over here. Over here, click on Create Popup. Now, once this opens up, you'll be shown over here two names, right? So this first name is the name that it's for your. This is not going to be shown anywhere to the front end users. It is for you, so you can name it anything. So suppose we are making a click delay, okay, or we're making I'll name, since we are discussing the click delay first, so I'll just name it as click delay. Now this pop-up title, the second one, is important because it is something that is being shown to the front end user. So whatever it's, if your it can be a form or it can be some information or whatever title you want to give to your pop-up, right? You can do that. So I'll just going to say apply now, just a random thing, like a random title. Now this is the area which actually you can type your text. I can type in anything, right? I can type in any text over here, right? And I can add in images using add media. I can add in any image over here, right? Let me just add this image. Okay, now clicking on the image, I can center this image or make this as list, right? I can further create, it's basically a complete classic editor where you can add in any information that you want. All right, now after this part is done, the next is the actual thing, that is the the triggers. What is a trigger? A trigger is how you activate that pop-up. Now to activate that pop-up, if you see this area, you have triggers. So triggers, click on add new trigger. Now you will have three triggers. One is click open, time delay and auto open, and form submission. We'll be discussing click open and time delay because they are the most used. Okay, so click open, and if you want that your website someone visits and your pop-up is shown just once, and if someone refreshes it again, it doesn't show up next time, right? Then you should make sure this option is checked. But if you want that when a user comes to your website, each time the user refreshes the website, the pop-up is shown, make sure to uncheck this box. Okay, and then I'm going to click on add. Now over here it's asking me for an extra css class selector. Now what is a css class selector? It is basically used to check an element or used to select an element. So if I want to select any element, like before me, what I would be doing is I want that if someone clicks on a button on my home page, now that home page button is shop now. Okay, so I want if someone clicks on that home page button of shop now, the pop-up should appear. So I need to select that particular button element, right? How do I select that? Using css selectors. And inside the css selector, I'm using a class selector. There are various css selectors, you don't need to worry about that. Okay, all you need to do over here is I need to add in the class name. So I can name it anything, right? I can name it anything. So I'm changing this class to popup1, right? Okay. Uh, and now the trigger has been added. Now the rest of the thing is where if I want to, specify where I want this to happen, or how it should be displayed, all these things. So I'm going to click on targeting. Targeting is if I want that I should disable it on mobile devices or disable it on pop-up devices, then I can do that over here. Also, I can add in conditions. Where do I want this to get triggered, right? But since I'm already using a click open, so I don't need any condition over here. We'll discuss that in the time delay option. Now let's go to the display. Now display, it is how the pop-up is going to be. This is the center pop-up. This is on the right bottom. This is on the top bar. This is on the left bottom. So like that, I want the center pop-up. You can choose yours. Appearance, the most common theme that I've, or the the simplified theme is the enterprise blue. Rest you can try out all. Also, you have an option to customize any theme that you want. So you can see there's a customize this theme option. Size is how big, and if this my screen is this big, how big should a pop-up be appearing? This big, that thing. Like how much should the pop-up box size be there? So for me, I will do it tiny. You can choose and try and test some things. Okay. The animation I don't need to set. The sounds I don't need to set. The position is already set. If there's a website and I want to click on the side hand part, not the box, but apart from the box, some area apart from the box, right? Then it will disappear. Okay. So that is, I can get it inside the close option. So close is one is that close crossbar appears on the top. I can add a delay to it. I can add a form submission. If there's a form gets submitted, it should close. That's another. Alternate is if someone clicks on the overlay, right, on the side, then also it gets closed. And if someone presses escape button, then also it gets closed. So you can check these as per if you want that. Okay. Now I don't need to set anything advanced, and I'll just click on publish. Okay. Now once this is published your pop-up, make sure just to check, although it will be automatically activated, right? So if you see over here, the pop-up is click delay is activated, is enabled. Now what I need to do is, do you remember that I added a CSS class dot popup? So that if someone clicks on this front end button, this is the button, right? If I want that if someone clicks on this button, a pop-up should appear, right? So I need to select this button, and what I need to do is, since I've designed this in Elementor, you might have designed it in page builders, Gutenberg. The basic goal is to add a class, whichever page builder or you're using, or a block editor you're using. Make sure you have an option over there to add the CSS class. It's also there in Gutenberg also. Okay, so you have an option. If you click on the element, you have on the bottom right, you have an option to add in the advanced as .css class. Okay, but for this in Elementor or any other page builder also, you have any option. So for Elementor, I'm just telling you how do you add that. Now let me just edit this button. Okay, now in the button, once you edit this button, you have content style and advanced tab. Come to the advanced tab. Now what happens is, I need to put the class over here, whatever name. If I put in pop-up there, I'll put in pop-up here. Since I put in pop-up 1, right? If I come over here, I can see what I put up. I put up pop-up 1, right? So I'll come over here and put in pop-up 1, but make sure you don't put the dot over here. Dot is for class, but you don't have to put it here since it's already a separate part, CSS class, right? So if I put it over here and click on update, let's just refresh the page. Okay, now let's click on shop now. Now you see the pop-up is here. You can change the size. This area is the overlay, right? Then I can click on overlay and close this. Okay. Now next, let's just talk about the other type. Let me just delete this selector. You can add multiple triggers as well, but for this trigger, I'll just delete this trigger. And the next trigger that I want to discuss in this is that the click delay, the auto delay. So once I click on add trigger, I add in time delay, and I can uncheck this box, right? Now this is how, like, what is should be the duration, like as soon as the page refresh, as soon as the page loads, after 500 milliseconds the pop-up will appear. You can make it 5000 milliseconds. If you make it 5000 milliseconds, that means 5 seconds. After 5 seconds the pop-up will show. It's up to you. You can control the speed at which the pop-up is going to appear. Now click on add. Now, once you've done that, the rest of the settings you can remain the same because I just needed the display and everything remains the same. One is targeting, where I want to target this. I just want that it should appear in the home page or the about page. You can select any page, right? Or you can select any post. You can select all pages. You can select all posts. There are a lot of options over here. You can play around with that. But for me, I just want it for the home page, right? And you can add in multiple condition, home page and about page. Okay, like that I can add multiple pages with an and or an or condition. Now once this is done, I'll update this. Okay, so once this gets updated, let me just refresh this page. Now you see the pop-up is appearing after 500 milliseconds as soon as the page reloads. So this way you can add it to any page that you want. Okay, and these are the most common ways to add a simple pop-up. All right, so you can add a simple pop-up with whatever the data is there, right? Like an image or a text or whatever, you can, it's basically a classic editor area where you can add in whatever content that you want. All right, if you want to make something as more complicated, then that is something that I'll be discussing in the next video, like adding a form to your pop-up. So that's going to be very interesting. Okay, so for that you'll have to wait for the next video. So guys, I hope so everything is clear to you and you were able to create a pop-up using this video. And that's all for this video, guys. So thank you for watching.